This is code.org. Let's see what we're doing. By combining the iterator variable I, so that's just the thing we count with strings, for example, dice plus I in the program below, you can change properties of many screen elements all at once, just like we did in the last bubble. I hope you did that one. If not, you should go back. Do this. This program is supposed to roll 20 dice, but it has several things that need to be improved. Wow, okay. Make it roll all 20 dice. Add code so that it calculates the number of even rolls. Update the code so only even rolls get a white border. My goodness, we're going to have some fun here. All right, let's take one thing at a time. Make it roll all 20 dice. Let's see what it's doing right now. Okay, so on the event that I click a roll button, it dives into this. We have this variable called odds. It's starting at 0. And we then have a for loop. In our for loop, we have a variable I that's equal to 0. I must be less than 10, and we're going to add 1 to I each time. So is 0 less than 10? Yes, that is true. So we dip down. Roll is then set to be equal to a random number 1 to 6. That makes sense for a dice. So what do we do after that? Well, set property dice plus I. What's I equal to? Well, I is at 0. What's dice? Well, oh, they numbered the dice. So dice plus I, which is dice 0, is this thing right here, that block. And we're going to set that text for that block to roll. What was the roll? The random number we got. So the number we got will appear here on this dice, or this square. Set the property of dice plus 0's border to 1. Okay, so we're turning the border of that dice on. We then say if the roll is equal to 1, or if it's equal to 3. So keep in mind that's an or. So that means either parts of these being true, the whole thing is true, or it's equal to 5. That means if any one thing in here is true, all of this is true. So this could be false, this could be false, but it's equal to 5, then all of this is true, and we'll add 1 to odds, which makes sense because we're counting odds, and if any of these are true, it's odd, all right? Finally, we're going to set the informational label to total odds, and then we add that variable. We concatenate the variable, our count, onto the end of it. Slash in is new line. So we have a new line, and we want to add in the total evens. Okay. Whew, it's a lot. All right, so one more time. Make it so all 20 dice are rolled. Well, right now, only how many are going to roll? Let's see. There's a 10 there. I hope you're guessing. All right, so 10, because it goes from 0 to 9. Once I is equal to 10, it's done. It stops. So it goes 0 to 9, and that will be 10 spots, right? Index is 0 to 9, that's 10 spots. So let's make this a 20. And now we should have all 20 going. And we do. However, we're only counting odds. We also want to count evens. So let's reset that. Let's throw in a variable for evens and set it equal to 0. How do we know when evens occur? Well, I can do a separate if, but I'm not going to make a separate if. That is because there's no way for a dice to be both odd and even. So if I do this if and it says it is odd, I don't want it to look at another if. I don't want to waste the time for the computer. So I'm going to do an else if, and that way only if it is not odd, it would look at evens. Although I'm overthinking it, yikes. If it is not odd, right? If it is not 1, 2, 1, 3, or 5, we can just believe it is even. So I can do even equals even plus 1, right? Or even plus plus like they have for odd. Because the number has to either be odd or even. My students, if you don't make fun of me for what I just said, that was embarrassing. All right, so, and then total evens. Well, here I'm going to want to add that variable just like they have with odds. Boom. To it. So I'm going to zoom out so you can see. Just like they did with odds, I put my evens variable here because I'm going to count whenever something is an odd, it's even, and I'm going to spit it out there. All right, let's give this a shot. Now I have one thing left to do, and that is the border. All of them have a white border. That's not what it wants. Add code so it calculates the number. Update the code so that only even rolls get a white border. Well, to do that, I'm just going to drag this code here, which makes the border white, down into my else. And what did I grab instead? That's not what I want. Down into my else. And I'm doing that, reset. I'm doing that because that way, if it is not odd, it is even. So we'll add 1 to even, and we'll allow it to change the border of that dice. Do we have it? 6, 5, 4. Let's test a few times. Oh, wait, we want a border on all? I'm doing this wrong. We want a white border on evens. Got it. So we're going to go UI controls, set property. It's just like this. So we want all to have a border, but they want this one, border color, white. And then what will have this border color just like they have above? It's going to be the dice. The current dice we're on is even, so it needs a border color. And it will be whatever dice we're currently on. Let's try it. Woo! Border color. Come on, computer. There we are. All right, one more try. Boom, there we go. My computer's playing games now. Gonna just switch into text. And that should do it. If you're not sure, you could do something like yellow and do this. And that makes it a bit more obvious, but they want white. Cool. That one was tricky. Let's keep going.